Welcome back to The Joy of Vinyl. I'm Rick Coste. Now, have you ever browsed through the bins of your favorite record store or on Discogs and come across a promotional copy? Sometimes that copy's stamped on the cover with the words "for promotion only," with the dire warning that to sell it is unlawful. Whatever. What if you find two copies of the same record? One you've been looking for, and both are of equal quality and equal condition. But one of those is a promo copy. Now, which do you buy? Now, there are some collectors who would tell you there's really no decision to be made. Grab the promo. There are others who will shrug and set the promo aside. Not because of the warning that it's unlawful to sell it that was stamped decades ago, but just because. And that's what we're going to look at today. Which would you buy? I've come across my fair share of promo copies over the years. But what are they? Why are we even talking about them? Well, for one, they're different. Sure, they might be stamped. They might even have a white label instead of the traditional label. But why? I mean, it's in the word promotional. Back in the day, when radio was king, record companies needed to find ways to get records heard, and they tried to get creative about it, especially before the record's official release. Now, as with selling any product, even today, you want to build buzz before it comes out. The record-buying public will often pass over a band or a song that they're unfamiliar with. But if the record company can get that record out there, test out the public's reaction to it, build some excitement, well, that could be the key to a hit record or one destined for the bargain bin. Enter promotional records. Before promotional records, record company salespeople would pop into radio stations, shoulder their way to the program director's office, and offer free copies for the station to play. Then there was the payola scandal of the 1950s, where companies paid DJs to play a record. Now, after the scandal, companies began pressing promotional copies. Those were free copies that were pressed well in advance of the release. Now, these were offered to radio stations in the hopes that it would reach the ears of listeners and fans before the record's big launch day. They hoped it would go viral before viral was even a thing. And now, today, they're sought by collectors because they are unique. And sometimes they're even better than the official release. Now, the weird thing is, I knew all of this, that promos were often sent to radio stations in advance. And yet, whenever I came across one, I discarded it mentally. I wrote it off. And why? Well, I'm almost embarrassed, but it was because of this.
Do it.
All right, Cincinnati, it is time for this town to get down. You got Johnny, Dr. Johnny Fever, and I am burning up in here. We all in.
I loved that show when it first aired, and I know I'm showing my age by admitting that. But anyway, in the back of my mind, I guess I always went back to how the DJs of old might have treated their records. After all, it was a radio station, not someone's private, prized collection. So I blame my misconception on Dr. Johnny Fever at WKRP in Cincinnati for planting that seed. Yeah, I know. I'm sure there's someone watching right now shaking their head at how naive I was, and maybe still am. But again, why? What's so special about promotional records other than the fact that they're stamped and may or may not have a white label to differentiate them? Well, for starters, they're rare. Promo copies were usually produced in limited quantities and only for radio stations, and maybe some other uses too, to enhance promotional efforts of the salespeople. But rarity increases their value with collectors. Now, to some, they're a novelty, and others, they have some historic value. Now, I can think of no better example of that than Prince's legendary Black Album, which was recorded in 1987, and it was canceled by Prince himself prior to its release. but not before promotional copies were sent around. You find one today, and you've stumbled on something special, and probably something a bit expensive. Another thing, and this alone is a reason to do a bit of research and to not discard promo copies like I foolishly did and have done for years. Dr. Johnny Fever's treatment of records aside, promo copies in some cases were pressed first. Now, why is this important? Well, stampers, which are used to press the records, wear out over time. A record pressed late in a stamper's shelf life might result in lower quality than those first few hundred. Now, among those first few hundred are the promo copies, the ones that were sent out to build interest. Now, when this is the case, you have a better sounding record until this happens. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Don't you just cringe? One last thing on promos. They might also contain a different version of a song before its official release. Or the record might have a different track order, or even different tracks. Early promo copies, which were test pressings of Bob Dylan's masterpiece, Blood on the Tracks, they were sent out before Dylan decided to re-record the entire album, the one that we know of today. This new version became the official release. In another example, The Who's 1967 promo release of The Who Sell Out has fake commercial tracks, or fake commercials, I should say, between the tracks. And a rare copy, an even more unique one, has the fake commercials all on one side. So there you have it. The next time you encounter a promo record, it might be a good idea to scoop it up. Do you know what else is a good idea? I'll give you one guess. You're right. Subscribing to the show. Thank you for watching. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.